Lagos never slept. By dawn, its tiled roads were already alive with rushing footsteps, impatient car horns, and the yellow flash of downfall buses weaving recklessly through traffic. On Victoria Island, glass towers glittered in the sun. In Surulere, hawkers balanced trays of provisions, biscuits, milk, sweets on their heads, calling out to passengers. Lagos was not just a city, it was a living story, a place where dreams were tested and destiny often revealed itself in the smallest of moments. It was in this restless city that Sophie's tale unfolded. She was young, strikingly beautiful, and carried herself with a confidence that made heads turn. Men admired her, women envied her poise. Yet beneath her charm was a heart careless with humility. And Lagos, as if conspiring with fate, had a way of exposing the true measure of a person's heart. Sophie was in love with Tony, a hard-working man whose integrity shone brighter than his wealth. Tony was the kind of man people spoke highly of in hushed admiration, disciplined, respectful, the sort who never passed an elder without greeting. One evening, as they sat together in a quiet lounge, Tony looked into her eyes and said the words she had been waiting for. Sophie, it is time. Mama is coming to my house tomorrow, and I want you to meet her." Sophie's face lit up. She knew the meaning. In their culture, meeting a man's mother was not just a casual visit. It was the doorway to marriage, the seal of seriousness. She hurried home, excitement burning in her chest. She laid out her best dress, polished her shoes, and practiced her smile in the mirror. Tomorrow would be her day. But destiny was preparing a test. The next morning, Lagos was already roaring with activity. Sophie boarded a crowded downfall bus heading to Surulere. She pushed past passengers, eager to secure a seat. In the scramble, her heel came down hard on the toes of an elderly woman seated quietly in the corner. My daughter, you have stepped on me," the old woman said gently, her face tightening in pain. Sophie glanced down briefly, but said nothing. She adjusted her bag and sat, her chin raised high. Other passengers turned, expecting at least a simple "sorry, ma." When none came, murmurs filled the bus. One man shook his head. "Children of these days, a tree without roots will surely fall." The old woman looked at Sophie, her gaze sharp and knowing, as though she saw deeper than her wrinkled face revealed. She whispered a proverb that floated like a curse. "The one who refuses to bend today will be broken tomorrow." Sophie heard it, but dismissed it with a roll of her eyes. Moments later, the bus reached Ojulegba, and everyone began to alight. Fate, it seemed, guided Sophie and the elderly one in the same direction. Tony's home stood proudly in his serene Surulere street, its compound paved with neat interlocking tiles, hibiscus flowers blooming along the walkway. Sophie's excitement returned as Tony welcomed her warmly, hugging her tightly. "Come inside, my jewel," he said, leading her in. She relaxed, smiling at the family portraits on the wall, imagining herself as the future mistress of this home. She even slipped into the bedroom to adjust her makeup, humming softly. Then came a knock at the door. Tony sprang up, opened it and exclaimed with joy, "Mama, welcome!" The elderly woman stepped in, her wrapper rustling softly. She and Tony exchanged greetings and he ushered her to a seat. They talked briefly about her journey, the Lagos traffic, and the heat of the afternoon. Finally, Tony called out, "Sophie, please come out. Mama is here." Sophie emerged, smiling brightly. But the smile froze on her face. Her knees weakened, for seated on the sofa was the same woman she had stepped on in the bus. Their eyes locked. Tony's mother leaned back slowly, her expression unreadable. Then she said with quiet finality, "My son, this one, you cannot marry her."
The words pierced like a knife. Sophie's heart sank. She opened her mouth to plead, but her tongue felt heavy. Shame wrapped her like a chain. Suddenly, her phone rang. The sound jolted her awake. She sat up in her bed, trembling, sweat on her forehead. She grabbed her phone. It was Tony calling. "Sophie," he said cheerfully, "don't forget, Mama is coming to my house today. I can't wait for you to meet her." Sophie gasped. She looked around. She was still in her room. "A dream," she whispered, but no. It felt more like a revelation, a warning sent by destiny. Tears pricked her eyes. "Never again will I take kindness for granted," she vowed. When she left the house this time, her spirit was different. She boarded another bus to Surulere, and once again, the elderly woman was there, sitting quietly in the corner. But this time, Sophie greeted warmly. "Good morning, Mama. May your day be blessed." The woman glanced at her in surprise. Later, as the conductor shouted, "Ojuelegba, Ojuelegba, next stop," two elderly hawkers rose, struggling with trays of provisions, biscuits, tea sachets, powdered milk. Their arms trembled as they tried to balance the loads while squeezing through the crowd. Without hesitation, Sophie stood up. "Let me help you, Mama." She steadied one tray on one woman's head, then helped the other adjust hers. The passengers watched, murmuring approval. "Ah, see respect. Lagos still has good children," one man said. The elderly hawker smiled through tired eyes. "May your path be smooth, my daughter. May helpers never fail you." Sophie bowed her head slightly. Amen. The same road that once revealed her pride had now become the stage for her humility. By afternoon, she arrived at Tony's compound, her heart thudding but her spirit at peace. Tony was waiting at the gate. The moment he saw her, his face broke into a smile, and he pulled her into a warm embrace. "I've missed you," he whispered, pressing a quick kiss to her cheek. She laughed softly. "And I've missed you too." Hand in hand, they walked inside. Tony guided her to the bedroom so she could adjust herself and freshen up before meeting his mother. Sophie's heart was steady now. She felt ready for anything. Then came a gentle knock at the door. Tony hurried to open it, his face glowing. "Mama, welcome, Mama," he said, bowing slightly and embracing her. "My son, may God keep blessing your hustle," Mama replied warmly. Tony led her to the sofa and they exchanged pleasantries about the traffic, the noisy Danfo buses, and how Lagos never allowed anyone to rest. Mama settled down, adjusted her wrapper, and placed her handbag beside her. Then Tony called out gently, "Sophie, please come out. Mama is here." Sophie stepped out gracefully. This time she lowered herself in a respectful kneel, her voice steady. "Good afternoon, Mama. It is an honor to finally meet you." For a long moment, Mama studied her face. The silence was heavy. Then, slowly, a smile spread across the old woman's lips. "Ah, my son," she said softly, "you have chosen well. This one greets like a true daughter of the land." Relief flooded Sophie's heart. She bowed again, gratitude shimmering in her eyes. That evening, after a meal of yam pottage and fish pepper soup, Mama called Sophie to sit beside her. She placed her hand gently on Sophie's. "My daughter," she began, her voice calm but heavy with wisdom. "Lagos is full of noise and rush. Many young people forget themselves in the struggle. But humility is the oil that keeps relationships smooth. Without it, even love will grind to a halt. She told stories of old, of tricksters who ruined families with arrogance, of women whose humility raised entire households from shame to honor. Her words sank deep into Sophie's heart. From that day, Sophie lived with new eyes. She greeted elders warmly in the market, helped strangers on the road, and never let pride blind her again. The community began to see her not only as Tony's fiancée, but a woman of virtue. At weddings, gatherings, and firesides, elders retold her story as a lesson. The one who humbled herself before strangers was lifted before kings. And thus, Sophie's tale became a modern folk tale of Lagos, an eternal reminder that humility, not beauty, opens the door to true blessings.
And so, dear listener, Sophie's journey reminds us of a timeless truth. Humility opens doors that pride will always close. If this story touched your heart, remember, there are many more tales waiting to be told. Stories of wisdom, mystery, and the lessons our ancestors passed down. Stay with us here at Emyleen Folktale, where every story is a bridge between the past and the present. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Emyleen Folktale for more powerful African stories that inspire, teach, and entertain. Until next time, keep the lessons close to your heart, for in every folktale, destiny speaks.